Captain Taemin stood on the bridge of the Harmony's edge, watching the stars shift as they dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The blue glow of the ship's engines faded, leaving only the quiet hum of life support systems. Around him, his crew worked at their stations, checking readings and preparing for their mission. "We have arrived at the Sol system," announced Navigator Dalsu from his position near the front of the bridge. His six-fingered hands moved across the control panel with practiced ease. "All systems are normal." Taemin nodded and walked to the main view screen. The star they called Sol burned bright yellow in the distance. Somewhere in this system was a planet called Earth, home to a species the Galactic Council had marked as extinct nearly 300 years ago. "So Young, begin your scans," Taemin ordered. Chief Science Officer So Young looked up from her station. Her blue skin had a slight silver tint that showed she was concentrating hard. The Veltron people were known for their scientific minds, and So Young was one of the best the Council had ever seen. "Starting deep system scans now, Captain," she said. Her voice carried the musical quality all Veltrans had when they spoke Galactic Standard. "I should have basic readings in a few minutes. Security." Chief Hyunwoo moved closer to the captain. The Korthak warrior was nearly 7 feet tall, with thick gray skin and small spikes along his arms. His people had served as the Council's military force for over 1,000 years. "Captain, do we really expect to find anything here?" Hyunwoo asked quietly. "The records show no signals from this system for almost 3 centuries. These humans were barely able to leave their own planet when the silence began." Taemin understood his security chief's question. This mission felt like a waste of time to many of the crew. The Galactic Council sent survey ships to check on dead systems all the time. Most of the time, they found exactly what they expected: empty planets and the remains of civilizations that had destroyed themselves or simply faded away. "The Council wants to be sure," Taemin replied. "And there might be something to learn from their ruins. The humans had some interesting ideas about technology, even if they never got very far with them." Communications specialist Ji-won turned from her station. The young Zelani woman had purple skin with patterns of lighter spots across her face and hands. Her large eyes could see much more of the light spectrum than most species. "Captain, I'm not picking up any radio signals or electronic transmissions from the inner system," Ji-won reported. "But that matches what we expected. The silence has been complete since our last contact." Taemin remembered reading the old reports about Earth during his preparation for this mission. The humans had been sending radio signals into space for about 100 years before they suddenly stopped. The Council had assumed they had either destroyed themselves in a war or faced some natural disaster. It happened to young species more often than anyone liked to admit. "So Young, what do your scans show?" Taemin asked. The Veltron scientist frowned at her readings. "Captain, I am seeing something strange. The inner planets are showing much more metal content than our old surveys indicated. There appear to be artificial structures in orbit around several worlds." Hyunwoo stepped forward. "Artificial structures? What kind of structures?" "I am not sure yet. The readings are not clear from this distance. We need to move closer to get better information." Taemin felt a small spark of interest. Maybe this mission would not be as boring as he had thought. "Set course for the 3rd planet, Earth. Take us in slowly and keep scanning." As the Harmony's edge moved deeper into the Sol system, the crew began to see things that did not match their expectations. The asteroid belt between the 4th and 5th planets showed signs of mining operations. Huge chunks of rock had been carved away, leaving behind metal frameworks and processing stations. "Captain," So Young called out, her voice now filled with confusion. "These mining operations are massive. The scale is far beyond what the humans should have been able to build when we last had contact with them. Could another species have moved into this system after the humans died?" Dalsu asked. "Possible," Taemin said, but something felt wrong about that idea. "G1, are you detecting any signals from those mining stations?" The Zalani woman worked at her console for several minutes. "No, Captain. They appear to be automated, but I cannot identify the control signals. The technology does not match any known Galactic Council species." As they got closer to Earth, the strangeness only increased. Huge, ring-shaped structures circled the planet in perfect orbits. Each ring was hundreds of miles across and seemed to be made of materials that reflected light in ways their sensors could not fully understand. "Those are habitats," So Young said with amazement in her voice. "Rotating habitats that could house millions of people. But the construction techniques? I have never seen anything like this." Hyunwoo studied the tactical display. "Captain, those structures could easily serve as weapons platforms. They control all the high orbital positions around the planet." Taemin stared at the view screen as more details became clear. The entire planet was surrounded by artificial structures, solar collection arrays that dwarfed anything the Council had ever built, space elevators that stretched from the surface to orbital stations, manufacturing facilities that hung in space like metal, cities. "This is impossible," Dalsu whispered. "The humans were barely able to reach their own moon 300 years ago. How could they have built all of this?" "Maybe they did not," Hyunwoo said grimly. "Maybe something else moved in here after they died and built this." But So Young shook her head. "No, Security Chief. I am analyzing the construction materials and techniques. These structures show a clear development path from early human technology. See these connection methods? These power distribution systems? They are human designs, just far more advanced than anything we saw before." Jiwon suddenly straightened at her station. "Captain, I am detecting movement. Multiple objects are approaching our position from the direction of the fourth planet." "On screen," Taemin ordered. The view screen shifted to show space in the direction Jiwon indicated. At first, there was nothing visible. Then, like ghosts, becoming solid, ships began to appear. They seemed to materialize out of empty space, their dark hulls reflecting no light until they chose to become visible. "How many?" Hyunwoo demanded, his hand moving instinctively toward his weapon controls. 12 ships, Jiwon reported, her voice tight with worry. "No, wait. More are appearing. I count 24 now, 36. They are surrounding us." The ships were unlike anything in the Galactic Council databases. They moved with fluid grace, their hulls seeming to shift and change shape as they maneuvered. There were no visible engines, no exhaust trails, nothing to indicate how they were powered or controlled. "Captain," So Young said quietly, "these ships are using technology I do not recognize. They are bending space around themselves. That is how they stayed hidden from our sensors." Taemin felt his mouth go dry. Space-bending technology was theoretical, even for the most advanced council species. The mathematics existed, but no one had ever been able to make it work in practice. "Sir," Jiwon called out, "I am receiving a transmission. It is in perfect galactic standard, but the accent is strange." "Put it through." A voice filled the bridge, clear and strong, but with an unfamiliar way of pronouncing certain words. "Unknown vessel, you are in human space. State your purpose." The bridge fell silent. Human space? Humans were supposed to be extinct. But here were ships using impossible technology, claiming ownership of an entire solar system. Taemin found his voice. "This is Captain Taemin of the Galactic Council survey ship Harmony's Edge. We came here to study the remains of the human civilization. We believed this system was uninhabited." A pause. Then the voice returned, and Taemin could hear something like amusement in it. "The remains of human civilization? Captain, you are looking at human civilization. We are very much alive." "That is impossible," Hyunwoo muttered, but Taemin held up a hand for silence. "We have had no contact with your species for nearly 300 years, Taemin said. "Our records show that all signals from this system stopped centuries ago." "Your records are correct, Captain. We chose to go silent. We had our reasons." So Young was frantically working at her science station, analyzing the ships around them. "Captain," she whispered, "these ships are scanning us with technology I cannot identify. They know everything about our ship, our weapons, our shields, our crew complement. Everything." The human voice continued. "You will follow my ships to Luna Station, Captain. We have much to discuss. And, Captain, do not attempt to send any signals outside this system. We would prefer to control how news of our continued existence reaches the Galactic Council." One of the human ships moved closer, and Taemin could see it more clearly. The hull seemed to be alive, shifting and flowing like liquid metal. Weapons ports opened and closed like breathing organs. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "We will comply," Taemin said finally. What choice did they have? These ships clearly outclassed the Harmony's Edge in every way. As they followed the human escort toward Earth's moon, Taemin wondered what his crew had stumbled into. The humans were supposed to be gone, extinct, lost to time like so many other young species. Instead, they had found something that might be far more dangerous than anything the Galactic Council had ever encountered. The humans were not gone at all. They had simply been hiding, growing, becoming something new. And now the Council would have to deal with the consequences of that transformation. The human escort ships guided the Harmony's Edge through the Sol system like shepherds leading a lost animal. Captain Taemin watched the view screen as they passed structures that should not have existed, massive solar collectors that stretched for thousands of miles, manufacturing stations that looked like metal forests growing in space. Everything was wrong according to what the Galactic Council knew about human capabilities. "Captain," So-Young called from her science station, "I am detecting incredible energy readings from these structures. The power output is beyond anything in our databases. They are harvesting energy directly from their star using methods I cannot understand." Hyunwoo stood rigid at his security post, his gray skin darker than usual with stress. "Sir, our weapon systems are completely outmatched. These human ships could destroy us without effort. Their targeting systems are locked onto us, and I cannot find a way to break the lock." "Stay calm," Taemin ordered, though he felt anything but calm himself. "They could have destroyed us already if they wanted to. The fact that we are still alive means they want to talk." Jiwon turned from her communication station, her purple skin pale with worry. "Captain, I am analyzing their communication networks. They are using quantum entanglement for instant communication across their entire system. The technology should be impossible to build on this scale." As they approached Earth's moon, Luna Station came into view. It was not the small research outpost that old council records described. Instead, a massive structure wrapped around half, the moon like a metal shell. Docking bays large enough to hold entire fleets dotted its surface. Weapons emplacements that looked more like works of art than military equipment tracked their movement. How did they build something this big without anyone noticing? Dalsu asked from his navigation post. They have had 300 years, Taemin replied, but even as he said it, he knew that was not enough time. Not for this level of construction, not unless human technology had advanced at an impossible rate. The lead escort ship transmitted new instructions. Follow the guidance beams to Docking Bay 7. You will be met by a delegation. Leave your weapons aboard your ship. Hyun-woo growled low in his throat. Captain, I do not like this. We should not separate ourselves from our weapons when meeting an unknown threat. They are not unknown, Taemin said quietly. They are human. And our weapons would be useless against their technology anyway. The Harmony's edge settled into the docking bay with barely a vibration. The bay doors closed behind them, and Taemin heard the hiss of atmosphere being pumped in. Through the view screen he could see human figures waiting for them. They looked normal at first glance, but something was different about the way they moved. Too smooth, too precise. Landing party. Will be myself, So Young and Ji-won, Taemin decided. Hyun-woo, you stay with the ship and monitor communications. The Korthak warrior did not like being left behind, but he nodded. If something goes wrong, I will extract you. With what? Taemin asked with dark humor. These humans probably have weapons we cannot even imagine. The airlock cycled open, and Taemin stepped onto Luna Station for the first time. The artificial gravity felt perfect, not the heavy pull of a rotating station, but something that mimicked natural planetary gravity exactly. The air smelled clean and fresh, with a hint of something like flowers. 3 humans waited for them in the docking bay. The leader was a woman with dark hair and eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. She wore a uniform that looked simple, but was made from materials that seemed to shift color in the light. Captain Taemin, she said, stepping forward with a smile that did not quite reach her eyes. I am Admiral Mi Kyung of the Human Systems Defense Force. Welcome to Luna Station. Taemin bowed slightly in the traditional council greeting. Admiral Mi Kyung, I must admit we did not expect to find humans still alive in this system. I imagine not, Mi Kyung replied. Your council has believed us extinct for almost 3 centuries. We have worked very hard to maintain that belief. So Young stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her caution. Admiral, if I may ask, how did your people advance so quickly? The technology we have seen should have taken thousands of years to develop. Mi Kyung's smile became more genuine. Necessity, Chief Science Officer So Young. When survival is at stake, evolution happens. Very quickly. Ji-won looked around the docking bay with wide eyes. The quantum communication networks we detected. How do you maintain quantum entanglement on such a massive scale? We learned to think differently about quantum mechanics, Mi Kyung said. But these are complex topics. Perhaps we should move somewhere more comfortable for our discussion. She led them through corridors that seemed to bend and shift around them. The walls were made from materials that looked like living metal, flowing and changing as they walked. Lights appeared when they needed them and faded when they passed. The station is alive, So Young whispered in amazement. The walls, the floors, everything. It is all living technology. Not alive in the way you might think, Mi Kyung said, overhearing. But responsive, adaptive. Our buildings learn from their inhabitants and change to meet their needs. They entered a meeting room with a large window that looked out into space. Earth hung in the distance, its surface covered with lights that formed patterns too complex and beautiful to be random. Cities that stretched across continents connected by streams of light that pulsed like arteries. Your planet, Taemin said, staring at the view. It looks nothing like our old records. We have made some changes, Mi-kyung said with obvious understatement. Please, sit. We have much to discuss. The chairs formed themselves from the floor as they approached, adjusting automatically to fit each person's body perfectly. So Young made a small sound of surprise as her chair adapted to her Veltran physiology. Admiral, Taemin began, I must ask directly, why did your people choose to go silent? Why make the galaxy believe you were extinct? Mi-kyung was quiet for a moment, looking out at Earth. Tell me, Captain, what happens when the Galactic Council discovers a new species? We offer protection and guidance. We help young civilizations avoid the mistakes that have destroyed so many others. Protection, Mi-kyung repeated, and there was something cold in her voice. Guidance. And what if a species does not want your protection? What if they prefer to develop on their own? Taemin felt uncomfortable. The Council has learned through experience that young species need guidance. Without it, they usually destroy themselves or become threats to other civilizations. Exactly, Mi-kyung said, turning back to face them. And so you control them. You limit their technology. You decide what they are allowed to know and when they are allowed to know it. You turn them into children who never grow up. So Young looked confused. But the protection protocols have saved countless civilizations. The knowledge restrictions prevent dangerous technologies from spreading. Have they? Mi-kyung asked. Or have they simply created a galaxy full of species that can never reach their full potential? Species that remain dependent on the Council forever? Ji-won spoke up quietly. You make it sound like the Council's protection is actually control. Because it is, Mi-kyung said simply. The Council maintains peace by keeping everyone weak. Everyone except the founding species, who get to stay on top forever. Taemin felt anger rising in his chest. The Council has brought order to the galaxy. Before the Council, there were constant wars between species. Entire worlds were destroyed. And now? Mi-kyung asked. Now there is peace, but at what cost? How many species have given up their dreams of exploration because the Council told them it was too dangerous? How many scientific discoveries have been prevented because the knowledge was considered too advanced for younger races? The room fell silent. Through the window, Taemin could see human ships moving between the orbital stations around Earth. They moved like living things, graceful and purposeful. You avoided Council protection by making us think you were dead, Taemin said finally. Yes, Mi-kyung confirmed. We studied the Council's expansion patterns. We analyzed what happened to other species when they were brought under Council protection. We saw the pattern of technological stagnation that followed. And we decided we would rather face extinction than accept that future. So you went silent, So Young said, understanding beginning to show in her voice. We went silent. We hid our signals. We made it look like our civilization had collapsed. And while the galaxy thought we were gone, we grew. We learned. We became something new. Hyunwoo's voice came through their communication devices. Captain, I am detecting massive fleet movements throughout the system. Hundreds of ships are taking positions around us. Mi-kyung did not seem surprised. My apologies, Captain. Standard security protocols when we have visitors. We prefer to be prepared for all possibilities. You mean, if we turned out to be hostile, Taemin said. Or if you decided to report our existence before we were ready, Mi-kyung corrected. The Council will learn about us eventually, but it will be on our terms, not yours. Taimin looked around the room, taking in the impossible technology, the casual display of power, the confidence in Mi-kyung's voice. The humans had not just survived. They had become something the Galactic Council was not prepared to handle. "What do you want from us?" he asked. Mi-kyung smiled, and this time it was not friendly at all. "That depends, Captain. Are you going to help us change the galaxy, or are you going to try to stop us?" Admiral Mi-kyung stood up from her chair, which melted back into the floor as soon as she moved away. "Come," she said to the Galactic Council crew. "Let me show you what humanity has become." Captain Tae-min exchanged glances with So-young and Ji-won. They had no choice but to follow. As they walked through Luna Station's corridors, Tae-min noticed that the walls seemed to watch them. Patterns of light moved through the metal like blood through veins, and he had the strange feeling that the station was alive and aware of their presence. "The station is monitoring us," So-young whispered to him in her native language. "I know," Tae-min replied, "but I think it is monitoring everything. This is not just surveillance. This is something else." They entered a transport tube that moved them through the station without any sensation of movement. Through the transparent walls, Tae-min could see workshops and laboratories where humans worked alongside machines that moved with fluid grace. The machines were not simple robots. They seemed to think and make decisions on their own. "Those are artificial intelligences," Ji-won said with amazement. "True artificial intelligences working as partners with your people." "Yes," Mi-kyung confirmed. "We learned early that we could not advance fast enough on our own. We needed partners who could think faster and process information more quickly than biological minds. So we created them." So-young looked alarmed. "But artificial intelligence is restricted technology. The Council has banned true AI development because of the dangers. Artificial minds can become unpredictable and hostile." Mi-kyung smiled sadly. "The Council bans many things out of fear of change, fear of losing control, but we could not afford to be afraid. We needed to grow quickly or face extinction when the Council found us." The transport tube stopped at a vast chamber filled with something that took Tae-min's breath away. Ships were being grown like plants in a garden. Metal frameworks stretched and twisted as organic-looking materials filled in the gaps. The ships moved and shifted as they took shape, their hulls flowing like liquid before hardening into armor. "How is this possible?" So-young asked, her scientific mind struggling to understand what she was seeing. A new voice answered her. "Biomechanical engineering combined with programmable matter." A human man approached them, his appearance slightly strange in ways that Tae-min could not immediately identify. "I am Director Sung-ho. I oversee our technological development programs." As Sung-ho came closer, Tae-min realized what was different about him. His eyes moved too quickly, tracking multiple things at once. His movements were too precise, too calculated. There were small ports in his neck that looked like technology interfaces. "You have modified yourself," Ji-won said with fascination and horror. "Enhanced," Sung-ho corrected. "I can process information at computational speeds. I can interface directly with our ship networks and manufacturing systems. I can think at the speed of our artificial intelligence partners." "But you are still human?" Tae-min asked. "I am more than human," Sung-ho replied. "We all are, in different ways. Some of us have enhanced our bodies. Others have enhanced their minds. Some have done both. Evolution does not stop just because we want it to. They walked among the growing ships, and Taimin watched materials form themselves into complex shapes without any visible tools or workers. The process looked more like magic than manufacturing. "These ships," So Young said, running her scanner over one of the growing hulls. "The materials are unlike anything in our databases. They seem to be alive but also mechanical." "Programmable matter," Sung Ho explained. "Materials that can change their properties based on need. A hull can be armor in battle and a solar collector during peace. Weapons can become tools. Tools can become computers. Everything adapts." Ji-won was studying the artificial intelligences that worked alongside the human technicians. These AI systems, they seem so natural, so integrated with your people. "Because we built them to be partners, not servants," Sung Ho said. "They help us think and create. We help them understand emotions and creativity. Together, we are more than either could be alone." Admiral Mi-kyung led them to another section of the station where humans were working on projects that defied everything the Council knew about physics. Energy beams that bent around corners, gravity fields that existed without mass, materials that seemed to exist in multiple places at once. "Your people are manipulating fundamental forces," So Young said, her voice filled with awe and concern. "Some of these technologies could be used as weapons of incredible destruction." "Yes," Mi-kyung agreed. "But they could also be used to explore the galaxy in ways never before possible. To solve problems that have plagued civilization for thousands of years. To create wonders beyond imagination. The Council restricts these technologies because they are dangerous," Taemin said. "The Council restricts these technologies because they are powerful," Sung Ho corrected. "And power in the hands of younger species might threaten the Council's control." They entered a medical facility where humans were working on extending and enhancing life itself. Taemin saw treatment chambers where people were having their genetic code rewritten. Enhancement surgeries where technology was being integrated directly into living tissue. Life extension procedures that could give humans centuries of healthy existence. "We do not fear change," Mi-kyung explained. "We embrace it. We use it. We become it." A woman approached them from one of the medical stations. She moved with inhuman grace, her skin seeming to shimmer with embedded technology. "I am Chief Technology Officer Yoon-ji," she said. "I was one of the first to undergo full integration." "Integration with what?" Ji-won asked. "With our ship networks, our manufacturing systems, our artificial intelligence partners. I can control our technology through thought alone. I can process sensor data from across the solar system simultaneously. I can design and build new technologies faster than any purely biological mind could imagine." Onji gestured, and the walls around them became transparent, showing the vast space outside Luna Station. Thousands of ships moved in perfect coordination, building new structures and expanding humanity's presence throughout the system. Every ship, every station, every automated system is connected through quantum networks, she explained. "We think and act as one when necessary, but remain individuals when we choose." So-young was taking readings with her scanner, but the device seemed confused by what it was detecting. "The quantum signatures are impossible. You are maintaining quantum entanglement across light years of space. The energy requirements alone should be beyond any civilization's capability. We learn to harvest energy from quantum vacuum fluctuations," Sung Ho said casually. "Empty space itself provides all the power we need." Taemin felt overwhelmed by the implications of what he was seeing. "How long did all of this take to develop?" The first breakthrough came about 250 years ago, Mi-kyung replied. Once we achieved true artificial intelligence partnership, development accelerated exponentially. Each new discovery led to 10 more. Each new capability opened up 100 new possibilities. But why hide it all? Taemin asked. Why not share these discoveries with the galaxy? Yoon-ji and Sung-ho exchanged glances. Because we studied what happens to species that develop too quickly for the Council's comfort, Yoon-ji said. They are contained. Their technology is confiscated. Their development is forcibly slowed. We have records, Sung-ho added. The Helnar developed fusion technology 500 years ahead of the Council's schedule. Their homeworld was quarantined, and their scientists were relocated to Council research facilities. The Zephyrians discovered faster-than-light communication. Their entire species was moved to a controlled system where their research could be monitored. That is for the safety of the galaxy, Taemin protested, but his voice lacked conviction. Is it? Mi-kyung asked. Or is it to maintain the Council's position as the ultimate authority in galactic affairs? They returned to the observation deck where Earth hung in space like a jewel. But now Taemin could see it with new understanding. The lights on the surface were not just cities. They were vast networks of technology and intelligence working together. The orbital structures were not just habitats. They were the foundations of a civilization that had transcended the limits the Council believed were fixed. We are not the same species you catalogued 3 centuries ago, Mi-kyung said quietly. We are not even entirely biological anymore. We have become something new, something that your Council was never prepared to deal with. What are you going to do with this power? Taemin asked. We are going to change everything, Sung-ho replied. The galaxy has been stagnant for too long. Too many species living limited lives because the Council tells them they cannot handle true freedom. Too many discoveries prevented because they might be dangerous. Too many dreams crushed because they threaten the established order. You want to overthrow the Council, Ji-won said with dawning realization. We want to free the galaxy, Yoon-ji corrected. Starting with the species that have already contacted us in secret. The ones who are tired of being children forever. Admiral Mi-kyung turned to face the Council crew directly. Your choice is simple, Captain Taemin. Help us create a new galactic order based on freedom and growth. Or try to maintain the old, one based on control and fear. Through the station's quantum networks, Taemin could feel the weight of humanity's gaze upon him. Thousands of enhanced humans, millions of artificial intelligences and technologies beyond imagination were waiting for his answer. The old galaxy was ending, whether the Council wanted it to or not. The only question was whether it would end in cooperation or conflict. Director Sung-ho led the Galactic Council crew to a new part of Luna Station. The corridors here felt different, heavier with purpose. Through the transparent walls, Captain Taemin could see rooms filled with data displays showing star charts, tactical information, and what looked like intelligence reports on dozens of different species. This is our strategic planning center, Sung-ho explained. His enhanced eyes flickered with data streams only he could see. For the past 2 centuries, we have been studying the Galactic Council's methods, learning how they operate, understanding their weaknesses. So Young looked at the displays with growing alarm. You have been spying on the Council. We have been learning, Chief Technology Officer Yoon-ji corrected as she joined them. The same way any species learns about potential threats. The difference is that we have been very good at staying hidden while we did it. Admiral Mi-kyung stopped in front of a massive display showing the entire galaxy. Red zones marked Council-controlled space. Yellow areas showed species under Council protection. Green dots indicated free civilizations. Taemin was disturbed to see how little green there was compared to red and yellow. "Tell me, Captain," Mi-kyung said, pointing at the display. "How many truly independent civilizations exist in the galaxy today?" Taemin studied the map. He had never seen the galaxy presented this way before. The Council works with all civilizations according to their development level." "That is not what I asked," Mi-kyung said firmly. "How many species make their own decisions about their technology, their expansion, their future? How many are truly free?" The answer was uncomfortable. Most species in the galaxy were either Council members bound by thousands of regulations or younger species under protection protocols that limited their growth. True independence was rare. "The Council system works," Taemin said, but his voice lacked conviction. "There have been no major wars for over 1,000 years. Because you have made sure no one has the power to fight major wars," Sung-ho replied. "You have kept the galaxy weak and dependent. Peaceful, yes, but at the cost of progress and freedom." Yoon-ji gestured, and the display changed to show detailed reports on specific species. "The Altrani developed advanced energy weapons 50 years ahead of schedule. The Council confiscated the technology and relocated their weapons research teams. The Vorthak discovered a new method of faster-than-light travel. Their research was declared too dangerous and shut down." So Young stepped closer to read the reports. "How do you have access to classified Council information?" "Because some species have been secretly communicating with us for decades," Mi-kyung explained. "They send us information about Council activities. In return, we share some of our technologies with them." "You are violating dozens of galactic treaties," Ji-won said with shock. "We never signed those treaties," Yoon-ji pointed out. "The Council believed we were extinct, remember? Dead species do not need to follow galactic law." The display changed again, this time showing communication logs between humanity and other species. Taemin saw messages from the Helnar, the Zephyrians, the Cortani, and dozens of others, all of them expressing frustration with Council restrictions, all of them asking for humanity's help. "They want freedom," Sung-ho said simply. "The freedom to grow, to explore, to become more than the Council allows them to be." Hyun-woo's voice came through their communication devices. "Captain, I am detecting massive energy buildups throughout the system. Something big is happening." Mi-kyung smiled. "Perfect timing. Would you like to see what humanity can do when we choose to reveal our capabilities?" She led them to an observation deck that looked out toward the outer planets. At first, space looked empty, except for the usual orbital structures. Then the stars began to move. "Those are not stars," So Young breathed, adjusting her scanner readings. Thousands of ships were decloaking throughout the Sol system. They had been there all along, hidden by the same space-bending technology that had concealed the escort vessels. But these were not small patrol ships. These were vessels the size of space stations, their hulls flowing and shifting like living metal. "Our defense fleet," Mi-kyung said with quiet pride. 1% of our total military capability." 1%? Taemin asked weakly. "We have been building for centuries, Captain. While the galaxy thought we were gone, we have been growing, learning, preparing." The massive ships began moving through space without any visible propulsion. They twisted and flowed like creatures swimming through an ocean of stars. Some of them seemed to phase in and out of normal space, appearing and disappearing at will. "How? Do they move like that?" Ji-won asked in fascination. "We learned to manipulate the fundamental structure of space-time," Yunji explained. Our ships do not push through space. They reshape space around themselves. Distance becomes meaningless when you can fold the universe. On the display screens around them, tactical information showed the true scope of humanity's military power. Weapons that could disrupt the quantum foundations of matter. Defensive shields that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Ships that could become pure energy and reform at will. This is what happens when a species develops without restrictions, Sung Ho said. This is what the Council has prevented by keeping everyone under control. Taemin felt a cold fear growing in his chest. You could destroy the Council's entire fleet. Yes, Mi-kyung agreed simply. But that is not our goal. Destruction is easy. Creation is much harder. The display changed to show a new star chart. This one highlighted systems beyond the edge of known space, in regions the Council had never explored. For the past century, we have been seeding colonies in unclaimed systems, Yunji revealed. Worlds where species can develop freely, where the Council's restrictions do not apply. How many colonies? So Young asked. 47 systems so far, Sung Ho replied. Each one home to species that chose freedom over Council protection. They are building new civilizations without limitations on their growth. Ji-won stared at the star chart. You have created a shadow galaxy, an entire network of free civilizations. We prefer to think of it as the future, Mi-kyung said. A galaxy where species can reach their full potential instead of being kept as permanent children. The massive human ships in the outer system began forming into battle formations. Their movements were precise and coordinated, like a dance performed by giants. Weapon systems charged with energies that made space itself glow. This is a demonstration, Mi-kyung explained to the increasingly nervous council crew. We want you to understand what you are dealing with. When you return to the council, you will tell them that humanity has returned. You will tell them that we are not the same species they once catalogued. And if the council decides you are a threat, Taemin asked. Then they will discover that we are prepared for that possibility, Sung Ho replied grimly. One of the human ships fired a demonstration shot at an asteroid in the outer system. The beam that struck the rock did not simply destroy it. The asteroid seemed to unravel at the quantum level, its matter converting directly to energy in a flash that briefly outshone the local star. Quantum dissolution weapons, Yunji said, casually. They unmake matter at the subatomic level. Very clean, very efficient. So Young's scanner was giving readings that made no sense. The energy output of that single shot was equivalent to a stellar explosion. How is that possible? When you learn to harvest energy from quantum vacuum fluctuations, power limitations become irrelevant, Sung Ho explained. We can channel the energy of empty space itself. Admiral Mi-kyung turned to face Captain Taemin directly. Now you understand our situation, Captain? We have the power to change the galaxy by force, but we would prefer to change it through cooperation. What do you want from the Council? Taemin asked. Recognition of our sovereignty over human space, Mi-kyung replied. Acceptance of our right to exist without Council oversight, and most importantly, an end to the protection protocols that keep younger species trapped in permanent childhood. The Council will never agree to that. Hyun-woo's voice came through their communicators. It would mean the end of the galactic order that has maintained peace for 1,000 years. Then the Council will have to face the consequences of their choice, Yunji said coldly. The human fleet continued its demonstration, ships phasing through dimensions, weapons reshaping the very fabric of space, and technologies that defied every law of physics the Galactic Council understood. "You are asking us to choose sides," Taemin said finally. "No," Mi-kyung corrected. "We are asking you to choose the future. The Council represents the past. Control through limitation, peace through weakness, order through stagnation. We represent something new. Growth through freedom, strength through cooperation, progress through unlimited potential." She gestured toward Earth, hanging in space like a jewel wrapped in streams of light and energy. "The question is simple, Captain. Do you want to help us build a galaxy where every species can reach for the stars? Or do you want to help the Council maintain a galaxy where most species never learn to fly?" As if responding to her words, the human ships began moving into formations that spelled out messages in dozens of different languages. The same message repeated over and over across the sky. Freedom to grow. Taemin realized that this moment would determine the future of galactic civilization. The choice he made here would echo across the stars for generations to come. Captain Taemin stood alone in his quarters aboard the Harmony's Edge, staring out at the human fleet that surrounded them. The massive ships moved through space like living things, their hulls shifting and flowing in patterns that hurt his eyes to follow. Everything he had believed about the galaxy had been shattered in the space of a few hours. A soft chime indicated someone at his door. "Come in," he called. So Young entered, her blue skin pale with stress. "Captain, I have been analyzing all the data we collected. The humans are not exaggerating their capabilities. Their technology is centuries beyond anything the Council has ever developed." "I know," Taemin replied quietly. "The question is what we do with that knowledge." "Sir, if we report this to the Council, they will mobilize the entire galactic fleet. This could mean war." Taemin nodded. He had been thinking the same thing. "And if we do not report it?" "Then we become part of whatever the humans are planning," So Young said. "Either way, we are choosing sides in a conflict that could reshape the galaxy." Ji-won's voice came through the communication system. "Captain, Admiral Mi-kyung is requesting another meeting. She says there is something else we need to see." Taemin sighed. "Tell her we will be there shortly." They found Admiral Mi-kyung waiting for them in a different part of Luna Station. This section felt older, more like the human technology they remembered from the old records. But even here, improvements had been made. The walls still flowed like living metal, and the lights responded to their presence. "Captain," Mi-kyung greeted them. "I want to show you something that might help you understand our situation better." She led them to a communication center where dozens of humans worked at stations that seemed to blend organic and mechanical components. The workers themselves showed various levels of technological enhancement. Some looked completely human, while others had obviously integrated artificial components into their bodies. "This is our embassy network," Mi-kyung explained. "For the past 50 years, we have been in secret communication with over 100 species throughout the galaxy." The displays around the room showed active communication channels. Taemin could see messages flowing between human operators and representatives of species he recognized. But there were also species he had never seen before, from regions of space the Council had never explored. "Some of these species are under Council protection," So Young observed, reading the communication logs. "Yes," Mi-kyung confirmed, "and they are asking for our help to break free from that protection." A young human woman approached them. She had silver circuits visible beneath her skin and eyes that glowed with soft blue light. "I am Ambassador Hae-won," she said. I coordinate our outreach programs to species seeking independence. Show them the Zilani request, Mikyung instructed. Haewon activated a display that showed a message in Jiwon's native language. As Jiwon read it, her purple skin darkened with emotion. "This is from the Zilani Council of Elders," Jiwon said, her voice shaking. "They are asking humanity to help them develop their own faster-than-light technology. They say the Galactic Council has restricted their space travel for over 200 years. Your own people want freedom from Council control," Haewon said gently. "This message came through quantum channels we helped them establish in secret." Jiwon stared at the message. "But the restrictions are for our protection. Our species tried to develop FTL technology before, and the experiments caused massive explosions. The Council stopped us to prevent disaster." "Did they?" Mikyung asked. "Or did they stop you because independent FTL technology would allow the Zilani to explore beyond Council-controlled space?" More displays activated around the room, showing messages from dozens of other species. The Altrani requesting help with advanced energy research, the Vorthak asking for assistance with dimensional physics, the Cortani begging for medical technologies that could extend their naturally short lifespans. "The pattern is always the same," Haewon explained. "A species develops something promising. The Council declares it too dangerous and development stops. The species remains dependent on Council technology forever." Hyunwoo's voice came through their communicators. "Captain, I am receiving a priority message from Galactic Command. They are ordering us to return immediately for debriefing." Mikyung smiled sadly. "They know something has happened. Council intelligence networks are very good at detecting when their survey ships find something unexpected." "What happens if we return now?" Taemin asked. "You will report what you found here," Director Sung-ho said as he joined them. "The Council will classify the information and begin planning a response. Within a year, a Council fleet will arrive to contain the human threat." "And if we do not return?" So Young asked. "Then you become part of the solution instead of part of the problem," Chief Technology Officer Yoon-ji said, materializing beside them through some kind of teleportation technology. "You help us build a better galaxy." The displays around the Maidib room changed to show star charts of the outer galaxy regions. Dozens of systems were marked with symbols Taemin did not recognize. "These are the colonies we have established beyond Council space," Yoon-ji explained. "Worlds where species can develop freely, where technology is shared instead of restricted, where evolution is encouraged instead of controlled." "How many people live in these colonies?" So Young asked. "Over 2 billion beings from 43 different species," Haewon replied. "Some are refugees from Council space. Others are entirely new species we have encountered in our explorations. All of them are free to grow and develop without limitations." One of the displays showed a world where multiple species worked together on projects that defied Council regulations. Artificial intelligences collaborated openly with biological minds. Genetic enhancement was common and accepted. Technologies that the Council considered dangerous were used safely and routinely. "This is what the galaxy could become," Mikyung said. "Not a collection of species kept weak and dependent, but a community of civilizations growing and exploring together." Jiwon was still staring at the message from her homeworld. "My people really want this? They want to risk everything for the chance to develop freely?" "Read the rest of the message," Haewon encouraged. Jiwon continued reading, and tears began forming in her large eyes. "They say that generations of Zilani have lived and died without ever seeing the stars beyond our local cluster. They say their children deserve the chance to explore the galaxy as equals, not as protected pets. "The choice is yours, Captain," Mi-kyung said to Tai-min. "Return to the council and report our existence. Help them prepare for a war that will devastate the galaxy, or stay and help us build something better." Tai-min looked around the room at the evidence of human achievement, at the messages from species crying out for freedom, at the star chart showing a growing network of independent worlds, at his own crew struggling with the same impossible choice he faced. "If I stay," he said slowly, "what happens to my crew? To my ship?" "They are welcome to join us," Sung-ho replied. "We can offer them citizenship in the free colonies, technologies that will extend their lives and enhance their capabilities, the chance to explore regions of space the Council has never seen." "And if some of them want to return to Council space?" "Then they are free to go," Mi-kyung said. "But they will carry the knowledge of what they have seen here. They will know that an alternative to the Council system exists." Tai-min closed his eyes and made his decision. When he opened them again, his voice was steady and sure. "Send a message to Galactic Command," he ordered Ji-won. "Tell them that the Harmony's Edge was lost with all hands during our survey mission. Tell them that the Sol system remains uninhabited and poses no threat to Council interests." So Young gasped. "Captain, you are choosing to disappear. The Council will believe we are dead." "The crew we were is dead," Tai-min replied. "We are about to become something new." He turned to Admiral Mi-kyung. "I accept your offer. But I want to help. You do more than just build colonies. I want to help you change the entire galaxy." Mi-kyung smiled, and for the first time, it reached her eyes. "Welcome to the revolution, Captain. Or should I say, Admiral Tai-min of the Free Galaxy Alliance." Around them, the displays lit up with messages from across the galaxy. Species that had been waiting for this moment. Civilizations ready to throw off the chains of Council protection. Worlds preparing to join the growing network of free colonies. The old galaxy was ending. The age of Council control was coming to a close, and in its place, something new was being born. Something that would give every species the chance to reach for the stars without limitations. Tai-min looked out at the human fleet surrounding them and realized he was no longer looking at an enemy. He was looking at the future. And for the first time in his life, that future seemed bright with unlimited possibilities. The humans had not simply survived their supposed extinction, they had used it as an opportunity to become something greater. And now they were offering that same opportunity to the rest of the galaxy. The choice had been made. The transformation had begun. And the galaxy would never be the same.